This video is all about affiliate marketing traffic generation. I'm going to tell you the best free affiliate marketing traffic sources you should be using in 2021. Hi everyone, it's Kevin from Solopreneur, and this is the 5th video in my free YouTube affiliate marketing masterclass. If you haven't watched the previous videos in this series, check the links in the description to get access to all of that and the remaining videos in this series. Now, in the previous video, we talked about picking an affiliate product. And once you've picked your product, then it's obviously time to start promoting your product and getting affiliate marketing commissions and sales. And this is probably the part where most affiliate marketers fall apart. It's pretty easy to pick a niche. It's relatively easy to find a product that you're kind of happy about and get into the program. It takes time to do research to find the right product, but it's still something you can do on your own for the most part. But where the rubber hits the road is getting traffic and converting that traffic. And in the next video, we're going to talk about converting that traffic. But right now in this video, I'm going to go over how you can generate traffic. And I'm also going to give you my personal affiliate marketing traffic strategy that has generated me quite a bit of commissions. Now, this is a pretty involved topic, and I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as possible for you with practical examples. But feel free to rewind components and watch it all back, and even comment down below if you have questions about anything specifically I covered. So if you've been following along in the tutorial, you've chosen a niche and you have a product, and now it's time to start driving qualified traffic to that offer so that you can start making money. Now, the way that looks really simply is you need a traffic source. And a traffic source could be paid ads, a website, social properties, so many things. But essentially, here's your traffic source, and you have your link in your traffic source and you send them to the product. But what is the right traffic source? Let's jump into that. I first want to break down some marketing strategy here, and I like to divide traffic sources into 4 categories. You have your discover-based sources, your search-based sources, your community, and your paid. And I'm going to give you examples of each and tell you when you need to use each. Let's start with discover. So discover-based sources are ones where it's more interrupt marketing. It's more someone is not intentionally looking for something necessarily, and rather they're going about their day and they see it. So billboards are a classic example in the traditional world. But when we're talking about online platforms, Instagram is a perfect example. As you can see, it's more so posts based on specific topics and the people you follow. So if you're looking at fitness here, there's a lot of stuff on fitness on Instagram. Likewise, Twitter is another platform like this where you're just scrolling through your feed and maybe something piques your interest. Facebook is like that as well. You're scrolling through your feed and maybe something piques your interest. TikTok. So these are all what I consider discover-based platforms, and these are really good for products where there isn't a high awareness level. Like if you're selling something that people don't really know too much about and they're not inherently searching for it, or if your offer is more impulse driven, like it's more spur of the moment, someone sees something and they want to take action, then that is really great as well. And finally, it's really good for what we call top of the funnel, and I'm going to talk about that in one of the next slides. So the next kind of traffic source is search based. So rather than being experiential where you're just scrolling, this is more intent driven where someone actually types something and then your content shows up. So typically this is more like they have a problem that they're trying to solve, or they're looking to figure out how to do something, or they're looking to get something like buy Nike shoes, how to do email marketing. They're actually looking for a solution, or they might even be typing the specific product they want. And this is another traffic source. The typical classical example is Google. Everyone knows this one. So if you type things in Google, it finds them for you. And so you can imagine ranking for buy shoes. And if you're the first page, you can imagine how much traffic you'd get. But there are other search platforms as well, like YouTube is a search platform, Quora is a search platform. And so essentially in these sites, you are targeting a different part of the buying journey because the person is already generally aware of the problem and they're typing in a solution, or they're just a little bit more educated about it. And these are not the only examples, of course, of search platforms, but that is what they are. And the next kind of traffic sources is a really special one, and that is a community. So a community is a place where you have a highly engaged group of people around a specific topic, and you can actually set up these communities. For example, here's one for Shopify on Facebook. So Facebook has Facebook groups, and you can see there's 106,000 people in this community. Likewise, Reddit is another community site. Here's one I just picked at random. It's called a subreddit. That's what Reddit calls its sort of forums or communities. And there's 1.5 million people on this subreddit. So you can imagine if you started this MMA subreddit and you were selling some MMA affiliate products, you'd be crushing. LinkedIn groups is another one. And you can see here in this entrepreneurship group I'm part of, so many other groups out there. So the benefits really of a community are that you get to control the entire narrative. If you start the group, then you can control what's posted there. You can have a built-in audience that cares about what you are promoting and what your topic is. And then periodically you can drop in your product links. You can have this audience that will find it valuable and engage with that and likely make purchases. And finally, the most obvious one, and the one probably most affiliate marketers start with because that's what the gurus tell them to do, is paid. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but basically every major platform has a paid offering: LinkedIn, Google Ads, Facebook ads, and so on. And each of them are going to have their benefits, but essentially they serve the exact same purpose as the organic components for Discover, Search, and Community. So you can pay to boost your posts on various platforms, and that's just going to increase your discovery if you're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. You can pay for your ads to show up when people search terms, whether that's YouTube or Google. And finally, you can pay to boost your community in something like, say, Facebook, where you can promote your community and you can get more subscribers. So paid really is just the paid version of all of these three organic offerings. Now, which is actually the best for you? So firstly, you have to think about your audience. It's not about you, it's about your audience. If you are targeting people in, say, the fitness realm, maybe Instagram or TikTok or Facebook might be the best for that. Maybe discovery type things are better. Maybe they're scrolling and they see your transformation or whatever it is, or the product. Or maybe if you're doing something really intricate that needs a video component, then maybe YouTube is the best. So you just have to understand your audience and figure out, where does your audience hang out? There's this marketing term, it's called watering holes. I kind of hate it because it's like a hunting term, but essentially if you were a predator, right? And I'm talking about a jungle predator, not the other kinds that ends up on FBI lists. But if you were a predator, where would your gain be? Where would your prey be? Like, where are their watering holes, right? Where they come to hang out and drink water so you can attack them. So like I said, I hate that analogy, but it does kind of work, and it makes sense if you think of it like, hey, where does my audience go to be informed? Where do they go to talk about this industry or this topic and get information and to engage and to get recommendations for products and solutions? And then you should be in those places, obviously. So I would encourage you to build out a persona for your target audience. Figure out really who is it that you're trying to serve, and that should be pretty clear because you've niched down. That is another reason why you don't want to go finance. Well, finance for what? Are you talking about CEOs or are you talking to teenagers? Right? Because a CEO and a teenager is going to be hanging out in a very different place. So that's why it's really important to niche down as well. Then the next thing is your skills. If you don't know anything about making videos and you don't want to learn, or you're shy on camera, don't do YouTube. Or if you like to talk and you're very animated, but you don't like to write, then don't start a blog. So evaluate your skills and understand, what are you willing to learn and what can you do already. Then your competition. Again, going to fitness, maybe Instagram is the dominant platform. However, maybe you find that, hey, look, there's actually very low competition on Twitter for fitness and I should do that. So the point being is, on one hand, you need to make sure that your audience is there. So the whole watering hole concept. Let's say the large pie of your audience is there, but maybe there are all the other hunters there. There's all this competition. Or maybe you find there's a very small sub-segment in another network, but there's basically no one there catering to them. In that case, maybe you should go there. The classic example I always give is there's probably one video for every 100 articles on a given topic, and maybe 1,000 to 1. So say, for example, if it's about changing truck tires or something like that, for every 100 articles you're going to read about a truck, one person will make a video. So you can imagine that there are a lot of great topics out there depending on what your niche is, but maybe you just become the person delivering that content on video. And that's just an example. Or maybe it's video and you do text, or maybe it's whatever and you do podcast. The point being is there may be an opportunity to transform that and create a niche for yourself. But in general, you also got to make sure that at least there's some volume there, and a good indication that there's some volume there is that you actually have competitors there. So it's a bit of a balancing act that you have to gauge for yourself. The next thing is your capacity. Certain things take longer than other things. Video, YouTube takes longer, generally speaking, than writing articles. That's one thing. 2, should you do more than one at a time? My general recommendation is to start with 1, but if you're doing this full time, maybe you do 2 or 3 at a time. Generally speaking, if you're doing this part time, you have to start with 1 and dominate 1. That is my recommendation, and then you can start to expand. And we'll talk more about expanding later. And finally, your budget. I mentioned this one because I did mention paid as a source, but if you don't have any money, then obviously paid is just off the table. But if you have a ton of money to blow, then I suppose you could start with paid, but I'm not a fan of doing that, especially when you're starting out. And that leads us to the very next slide, and I'm going to talk about how I use paid. I kind of talked you through some of the things you should consider for coming up with your traffic strategy, but I'm actually going to give you my exact traffic strategy. Now, I can't promise it'll work for every industry and every niche in your specific situation, but I would say that my strategy here works 95% of the time. So to start out, I just want to explain the funnel. So when people buy things, they start at this top of the funnel. You get some traffic and all these people go here. Some of them drop out and some of them go deeper, and then some of them finally buy. That's just a funnel. And people in each of these stages are in a different stage in the customer buying cycle. So for example, someone up here is just learning about, say for example, CrossFit. So they've just heard about CrossFit. They're building awareness. And if you guys are not familiar, CrossFit's like a workout style. It's like a workout methodology and a training style. So they're just learning about this CrossFit thing, or they're just learning about stocks. They're like, wow, you know, these stocks are great. Then maybe they start searching, like, and this is where the power comes in, stock investing platform or course for how to get started with stocks, or likewise CrossFit app or course on how to do CrossFit, because they've now been made aware of this thing called CrossFit or stocks in these two examples, and now they're actually with intent searching for a solution. And then once they're sort of searching for a solution, then that is when you need to close them, and that is when I use paid marketing. So essentially, I'm not paying for the least qualified people up here, these people who are just learning about it. And I'm not even paying for these people necessarily who are evaluating solutions. I'm only paying for people who I know that they have search intent and they're down in the funnel and they're really close to making a decision. So they're either going to go with my recommendation or 1 or 2 competing products. So I have the ability to retarget them and continue to influence that sale. So that's kind of my high level strategy. So awareness, intent, close through paid, and then what I do is I actually, once I close them, or if I captured their email address in one of these earlier stages, I can continue to upsell them, because now they've purchased something and I have their email address, and I can continue to upsell them for free, because again, I have their email address. I don't need to pay anymore. And if you notice in my strategy, I talked a lot about search, and that is where I recommend you start. Search is the absolute best if you want to make money quickly. So remember, All of these people are in the awareness level. So we're talking your Instagrams, your Facebooks, that's fine. Some of these people will become buyers. But where would you rather be? Would you rather be talking to the people where you kind of have to make them aware and then get them to this stage in the journey? Or would you rather be targeting the people who already are in this stage or even this stage, these two bottom stages, who already know that they want the thing that you're selling and they've been made aware through other sources, not your own necessarily, but they're ready to buy and you can influence them when they're further in the buying journey. And this person, of course, is already ready to buy and they've made a commitment to buying, or they're very close to it. And so then when you can get your affiliate link in front of them, they click your link and buy that thing rather than someone else's, because you've provided them with that last bit of helpful information to get them across the line. And so that is why I say start with search. And then as you dominate this stuff, and we're going to talk about that, you can start moving up the funnel as well and start creating that kind of content to get even more people down. But start here if you want to start making money immediately. So how do you do that? So you start with search. So what does that mean? Very simply, I would ignore everything except Google and YouTube. Those are your two dominant search engines. Quora could work too, but I find Quora is like a secondary one. That's another one to expand to. So depending on your skills and your audience, you have a decision here. If your audience is more into reading, then you're going to set up a blog and start creating content to attract Google. If your audience is more visual, then you're going to create videos on YouTube. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to find what are called the bottom of the funnel keywords. So if in a software example, it would be insert product name, pricing, insert product name, review, insert product name, trial, insert product name, demo. Those are the words that person is really in buying mode. If they're typing, let's just say some of the ones we looked at, Survey Sparrow or Aweber, those are some of the software examples. Aweber demo, Aweber trial, Aweber review. As you can imagine, that person is almost ready to buy. They just need some more information to make an educated decision, and that is where your content comes in. Now, let me show you what that practically looks like. Now, Kartra is one of the products that I promote, and if you type Kartra review, you can see I'm number 2 right here. If you type Kartra pricing, I'm number 3 right here. If you type Kartra 30-day trial, you can see I'm on the first few listings, and so on and so on. Those are the most bottom of the funnel ones. And if you're wondering how to start finding those keywords, there are a number of tools you can use. But even before you jump into the tools, just use your head. As I mentioned to you, it's super important that you try out the product because you become affiliated with it, not just as an affiliate, but you actually understand the product. And then you can think through, what is my audience thinking? For example, let's say someone's trying to buy a $200 software. If you were buying that, what would you do? You'd obviously type name of product review, name of product features, name of product pricing plans, trial, demo. Think about you as a person. What are the things you would type? So just try and get a sense of that. Now, I've given you the typical software examples, and those ones always kill in software. Review, trial, demo, pricing, plans. You can run with those if you like, but those aren't the only ones. I'm going to show you also how to find some of these keywords. But if you're selling like even a physical product, or if you're selling an app or a course, it's always the same thing. Review is always going to be there. It's like 99% of the time. Name of thing review, that is one of the best keywords. Or name of thing coupon code, name of thing trial. Those are going to crush because that person is almost ready to buy. So you want to get in front of that person. But how do you find those keywords? Let's take a look. So you can do a better job of this with Ahrefs, SEMrush, or Moz. However, each of these tools are $200 a month, so I don't expect everyone to have these tools. So I want to show a free alternative instead. There's something called Ubersuggest by Neil Patel. It's completely free. It does have some limits. You can only do 3 searches a day, but it'll help you get some data quickly. So let's just say the product we're trying to promote is Aweber. As you can see, Aweber versus MailChimp, 50 people are searching for that. only 28 difficulty. What is Aweber? 15 difficulty, 40 searches. Aweber review, Aweber versus get response. It's easy to see where this person is in the journey. Like, look at these keywords. All of these keywords versus ConvertKit as an example, versus get response. Clearly this person's at the bottom of the funnel making an evaluation decision which one to buy. And so if you can get in front of them, you're an Aweber affiliate, you make that content, then you convert them. That is why I have a video like Kartra versus ClickFunnels. And so you just have to kind of use some logic here, and you can click on it and you can kind of see what the listings are and go and see if those listings make sense, if that's the right keyword. And so essentially then you can copy the clipboard or export to CSV. And then once you have your list of bottom of the funnel keywords, here's the part that's going to require some real work from you. You need to create content, great content for each of those keywords. So if you have 10 keywords that you've selected, make those bottom of the funnel 10. And then once you've created content for those 10, then go back to the ones that are still related but not as qualified. For example, what is Aweber? So obviously the person just learning what is Aweber is not the same as Aweber versus, because Aweber versus, this person knows about email marketing software. They know they want it. They know who the competitors are. They're ready to buy it. What is Aweber is kind of explain what it is, then review it, then help them compare. So you're going to take them further down the journey, but you're starting with the lowest hanging fruit, the most qualified people. Make that content, then keep moving up the funnel related to Aweber. I just want to stress one thing. It's going to take time. Google and YouTube take typically 3 to 6 months to index content and to really start giving you traffic. So I want you to set your expectations right. Don't even worry about getting links. I can promise you, if you do this well, you will start to crush it, especially on YouTube, if you're not in a super competitive niche. So for example, if you start making one video about Aweber, or insert the name of your product. Again, I'm just giving you a simple example. Then after you get to 20, 30 videos, each of those videos are going to be at least bringing you, at one point after 6 to 8 months, going to be bringing you one sign up a month. And then going back to the math we did in the previous video, you saw what that means. Just having 5-10 signups a month can generate you thousands in recurring revenue. This is a real practical way to make sustainable money. Find the keywords, bottom of the funnel keywords, create the content for them, and keep building content. Just don't worry about what the results are right away, because it will take time, but just keep pumping it out. Now, I will say that it will take a little longer on Google than YouTube. And why is that? Well, very simply, Google is easier to do. Anyone can write a blog. Anyone. In fact, you can also outsource blog writing. There are a dime a dozen companies all around the world that'll write you hundreds of articles for next to nothing. So Google is very, very, very competitive if you have a competitive niche. Now, if your niche is actually underserved and the product is also underserved in terms of promoting it and reviews and whatnot, then you can break out. But I just want you to know that Google is harder because it's easier to do. Anyone can write articles, as opposed to YouTube. YouTube requires a personality. It requires you to be on camera. So that right away eliminates all the outsourcers. You can't outsource YouTube, not the performance part, not the content part. So basically it's less competitive for that reason. So my recommendation, if you're comfortable with video, is always YouTube, but that's up to you. Just recognize that with Google, it might take a little longer depending. And again, YouTube could take long too, depending on how much competition. So once you've spent at least 3 to 6 months banging out content, and recognize that your first 10 aren't going to be as good as your next 10. And that's fine, right? There's a learning component. So just recognize that as well. But once you've gotten to a critical mass of content, then the algorithm, either Google or YouTube, will recognize that you're an expert in this area and start linking that content together and start promoting your content more. Like how you've seen with my Kartra content, I have numerous videos ranking because they know that I'm an expert in this topic and I have dozens of videos about it. Now, after you've started with your one traffic source, let's just say YouTube, and to personalize this a bit, you can actually take that content and transform the content for the other search engine. So for example, I make videos about Kartra. You guys know that on YouTube. You can use Medium, which is like a blogging platform. You can set up your own blog. And I've actually taken the time to create the written version of this same video. So what I've done here is gotten more benefit out of this video by also catering to that other audience that wants to read. And also I've gone and created questions and answered questions pertaining to Kartra where I'm answering these questions and dropping my YouTube videos. So now I've taken my YouTube videos and they're in 2 additional search platforms. And the added benefit is that you rank even higher because you get backlinks from these high authority sites like Quora and Medium. If light bulbs are going off on your head right now and you're like, wow, this is great, please give me a like. Honestly, I contemplated making this a paid course because it's taken me over 10 years to learn these things. And I decided that I'm just going to give it to the community for free. There's just too much garbage out there, and I just wanted to have another perspective out there for people to consider that's actually going to be sustainable and possible. So I would appreciate a like, subscribe to the video, and let's jump back in. But yes, that's how you expand. You basically take your content and you flip it out into different formats. You can take your one YouTube video and make little snippets, and you can put it on your TikTok or your Instagram. You can just start to play and transform the content. Also, once you have a critical following, then you can take that following and make a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or a Reddit. You can transform that audience into that. So many different places and ways you can start to expand your reach. But start with one. Trust me when I say this. Start with one. And finally, you have to measure and stay consistent. So you have to measure your results. Go into your analytics. Each platform has their own analytics. YouTube has great analytics, for example. And if you have a blog, you can get Google Analytics, which is completely free. Now, I won't go through analytics in this video because this video is going to be 2 days long then. But essentially, the point I'm making is you need to measure what's working, what topics are resonating, how your audience is responding to it. Are you seeing steady growth? And while you're not expecting to make money from day one, make sure the numbers are going up. Look, my views are increasing, my readership, my subscribers, whatever one you're doing. Early baseline metrics are early indicators of success. And what you want to generally see is after maybe 2 or 3 months of doing this, because you might not see anything for 2 to 3 months, you want to start seeing steady increases. And that's actually beautiful because then you're building the machine. It's all predictable. And on that same note, it's about consistency. Like I said, you're going to see that slowly building each and every month. And you're like, wow, this is working. This is an actual method that's working. It's not trying to hit a home run from day one. Can you do that? Yes. Is it practical? No. In any business scenario, there's going to be the outliers, it's called. There are going to be the people, if you look at a curve like this, right? If you look at a standard bell curve, there are going to be the people on the edges that on this side got super lucky. And on this side, they are a extreme genius and hit it out of the park. Talking about like the Mark Zuckerbergs and whatnot. Unicorn status, they're a supreme genius and they've done that, or they're supremely gifted. And then on the other side, people who got supremely lucky. Both of those sectors are less than 5%. So for the rest of the 90%, if you want to become successful and you're not a supreme genius and you're not hoping you get lucky, then creating a sustainable model that's going to day after day show results and actually get you there, even if it takes you 2-3 years, that's fine. Because think about what you're going to be doing in the next 2-3 years anyways. You're probably still going to be in school or working your job or scraping by in your company, as opposed to having this new revenue source that's completely automatic after you've set it up with minimal work. Think about what you want your life to be 2 to 3 years from now. You're still going to have to work somewhere, so might as well invest in yourself. So we covered a whole lot in that video, and hopefully you have a sense of which traffic source or sources are going to work best for you and your audience. But how do you maximize that traffic and get the most amount of conversions from the people visiting your properties? It's not enough to just send them there, but when they land there or they land on your properties, how do you get them to buy? And that is the topic in the next video, where we talk about an affiliate marketing funnel. If you want more information on that, also check the links in the description. I have a free 23-page e-guide that you can grab. I also have a great 15-day business builder challenge and if you found this video helpful, give me a like. subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.